Welcome to the Deranged Veteran Podcast. Today, we make a small attempt to cut straight to the bone of what's breaking us as a country, and more importantly, what could still heal us. Picture our country right now, a stark patchwork of red and blue bleeding across the map, state by state, county by county, sometimes street by street. It's more than just colors, it's families who can't talk politics without raising their voices. Old friends who unfollow each other, neighbors who avoid eye contact at the grocery store. The divide, it runs deep, and it's not accidental. Maybe I'm saying something we already know. It's been widened deliberately by a toxic mix of corrupt politicians, a media machine built on outrage and profit, and an avalanche of dark money that's turned our democracy into something closer to an oligarchy than a democratic republic. Let's say it. Let's just say it plainly. Politicians from both sides, left and right, have been caught insider trading. So much so, it's a meme. People joke about it. We accept their lavish trips. Ted Cruz, leaving the country when the rest of his constituents were frozen in down in Texas. We accept that. We talk about it for a news cycle, then we let it go. We accept that they write legislation that can conveniently benefit their biggest donors, and sometimes even themselves, while the rest of us scrape by. We've seen ethics rules bent, broken, or just straight up ignored. No real consequences, just another excuse. News cycles come and go, and so does our attention. The media plays its own dirty game. Cable networks and online platforms chase engagement with fear, spin, and selective outrage, turning complex issues into simple tribal battles. Are they simple though? Facts get buried under hot takes, nuances labeled as weakness, and trust in journalism craters because too many outlets prioritize loyalty to money over the fidelity that we should have to truth. The money. Yes, the money. The money seems to be the real poison. Billions from super PACs, corporate interest, and untraceable dark money groups flood each and every election, drowning out ordinary voices. Yours, mine. Our laws get watered down or killed entirely because they threaten powerful interest. Every time we do make some headway, it seems like another law the very next session, and now it's null and void. The result? We know what the result is. A system where the average American feels like their vote is just a participation trophy, while the real decisions are made in back rooms by people who've already bought the access. It's almost like our election system is for show. Since we're on it, I can't help it. Republicans, you're the best at all of this, by the way. You act like you're not, but you are. No wonder approval ratings for Congress are in the trash, and most of us feel like the game is rigged completely against us. That's because it is. But here's the truth I want you to carry out with you today. This corruption isn't a red or blue. It's the shared enemy wearing both colors, left and right, independent. Yes, even independents are corrupted. But no matter what side of the aisle you find yourself on, left, right, or independent, or somewhere else, if you live here in America and you are an American, most Americans are disgusted by this shit. We hate all the insider deals, the revolving door between government and lobbying firms, the way media pits us against each other, just for ratings and clicks. They laugh all the way to the bank, and we each know it. We're tired of watching our tax dollars bail out corporations or fund endless catastrophes overseas, all while our schools crumble and we can't afford our light bills. Simple shit. Deep down, the vast majority of us, regardless of how we vote, want all the same basic things. Honest leaders that we get to choose. Fair rules. We don't mind rules, we just want fair ones. A government that actually works for us instead of against us. A country where hard work still means something. Where I can go work 60 hours a week and have no concerns about paying my light bill. I don't want to be rich off of that necessarily, but I want to be comfortable. We don't have that, or very few of us do. We all want a country where the people we elect are actual servants of the people and not scammers who absolutely hate us, elitists who think we are excrement. This is the way they treat us. And we're like the battered partner who just accepts it because it's a roof over our head. We've been here before. The Gilded Age had its robber barons, its bought politicians. Watergate, it exposed systemic rot, which we obviously see was not cut out. Civil rights tore us apart before forcing us to confront injustice. Each time we've had issues as a country, we never fixed it overnight, but we always moved forward in the right direction because enough people, you and me, people like us, we demanded change. Not through violence, that never works, not at the street level. Not through evil means, but they demanded change by holding their politicians accountable and through actually reaching across and talking to people that they didn't agree with. It's through understanding, having conversations with each other, and trying to find common ground. That's where we need to go, at least in my mind. So, in 2026, tensions higher than ever. How do we start stitching this back together? I propose that it begins with refusing to let the corrupt class divide us further. Yes, they're a class all to their own. The corrupt leaders and the corrupt grifters and the corrupt entertainers, yes, the corrupt YouTubers, the corrupt corporations. It starts with us refusing to let them push us further apart. It means seeing the people around us not as an enemy, but as a person who thinks differently. That's the hardest thing to do, obviously, because not many people are doing it right now. Varying levels, not judging. We're all guilty of it at some level, myself chief among them. It means seeing the other person with the bumper sticker not as an enemy, but as a fellow citizen who's likely just as angry about what you're angry about. They're angry about the same thing, more than likely. They understand that there's massive corruption in Washington. And I think that right there might be our common ground that we can each stand on from either side, and even the people in the middle. People in the middle. You are important to this process because you know people on the left. You know people on the right. I'm one of those people. I'm a middle of the road guy. Used to be considered left. But as the left moved left, I got left in the middle. So people that feel like I do in the middle of things, we have a responsibility to help bring people from the right and people from the left together for conversations so they can have more of an understanding of each other and can see each other differently than just the enemy or the opposing side or a tool of the left or a tool of the right. I think that's where we can start. I really do. We all want politicians held accountable, just like us. Not two different types of accountability, not two different justice systems. No more slaps on the wrist for corruption. No more. Both sides use excuses even when the evidence is clear. We can't let them get away with it anymore. Both sides are guilty. Prosecute both of them equally. President, not president. Representative, not a representative. Governor, not a governor. Everybody should be held to the same fair justice. Everyone. We're not doing that, but we have to start demanding it. We all right here in the middle, where we can meet together, we crave media that reports facts without manufacturing the division, where journalists ask actual hard questions of everyone, instead of cheering for their own team or by asking questions that are just softball pitches. We need journalists to be journalists, and we all agree on that. Most of us do. We agree that the money, we mentioned it several times so far, has gone entirely too far. In my opinion, $1 is too far. Our votes and our voices should outweigh any corporate campaign donations. We want that. We all want that. We know that's where it needs to go. Reforms like public financing or strict disclosure aren't crazy. They're something we should discuss at a minimum. They're common sense, and we need that. We need to start expecting it of each other. If you have kids, and even if you don't have kids, if you're an American, we all want the kids in this country to be able to inherit a place with the most opportunity on the planet, the cleanest air and water on the planet, the safest neighborhoods, and leaders who serve rather than exploit. We all want that. I think this is a baseline most of us still share, even when the outrage machine is at its loudest. We should see each other as the people that we are: coaches, ministers, gas station attendant, construction workers, police officers, military, veterans. We're people. We're Americans. My invitation to you this week is simple. Find one person who sees the world differently. It doesn't have to be completely different. Just someone that has a different opinion than you. And have a real conversation. And not about who you hate or what frustrates you about the other side, but what frustrates maybe both of you. Start working together on problems that you both see. You may not both see all the same problems, but you almost assuredly can see at least one problem together. Ask each other what corruption looks like. Find out how they think. Listen without interrupting. You might discover that the divide isn't as unbridgeable as it feels. Most people are not naive. The disagreements are real, but not profound. Some may feel existential, and some of them may even be. But like I said, we need to find the problem we both see, and we can start with that. Fixing a corrupted system won't happen in one election, one podcast, one conversation, but a nation that turns its shared anger outward toward the grifters and those that wish our country harm instead of inward at each other, that nation can stand tall again, united. A nation divided falls, or a house divided falls, but a people united against their own corruption can rebuild the foundation to a stronger country and can build it taller and better than it's ever been before. What do you think? So thanks for being here. We're going to keep talking, keep listening. We've got a great conversation ahead. Today, we've got a panel of guests who come together to discuss a couple of the issues. I know each of these people. I reached out to them because I know they're each honest and good people. They've always treated me with respect, and I feel that they each have a great insight to share, each from their own unique perspectives. All right. Thanks so much. Let's get into it. All right. Welcome to the first of its kind episode of the Deranged Veteran Podcast. Today, I've got with me in the studio, I've got Laura, Matt, and I've got Dwayne. We're going to be speaking on a few subjects that have been in the news the last few weeks. What is one of the biggest things that you see that is pushing people in opposite directions against each other? Is it social media, TV? In your experience, which of those things you think is the biggest contributor to pushing people apart instead of together?
It's literally media does not help. Social media is so conflicting because it's, I think there's an issue of trust in all of it, like the information you're getting. And I feel like big media is more heavily influenced on which way they're leaning or what, what they're more biased on, where it's like, I follow, like, some people on social who they just try to just cover information, and they try to stay as neutral as possible. But, um, and I do trust what they're telling me, but it's like, it just really sucks, I guess, that, I have to rely on a smaller, in some way, a smaller source that only a very few people are seeing. Because it feels like the masses are eating the big media. They're just eating it.
Yeah. Yeah. So you feel like there's a because there's not really a centralized media in America now, or in the world at all, really. I mean, it's so decentralized now. It's hard for people to zero in on what's actually going on. Is that sort of what you're getting at?
Totally, in some way. Yeah.
And I will tell you, I agree with that 100%. I mean, it's mentally exhausting trying to figure out what you believe to be true about something. There's an exhausting amount of information coming at you.
It seems like a very big tangled spider web. Like, it all
Yeah.
connects. It's just, what what are we
I'm
focusing on
probably
right now?
yeah, I'm probably the oldest person on here. I'm 62. For when we had, ABC, NBC, CBS, those were the basic three. Even then, there wasn't trust. There was always pushback, but there was no way for people to really hear it. And now we have the technology, and it's so weird that asked me to be on here, because today I finished watching a podcast. I mean, a documentary on the year 1975, and a lot of things shifted in 75. What we saw before the technology explosion is media has never really been about news. It's been about making money and about and entertainment, in a sense. When the media people that control the media and produce it, wanted to make money, they had to figure out what pushed people's buttons, and it took a while. You had to look for trends. Now you can see it almost instantaneously, what pushes people's buttons, what they're attracted to, what they try to reject and get angry about. And media's just there's so many sources of it now, they can just drive it. And the angrier people get, the more they argue, the more money people are making, because they're getting more clicks, more clicks, more clicks. And it really comes down, a lot of times, it seems to me, to just money.
So it's more of a greed-based capitalism that's been unchecked kind of thing.
To me, it seems that way. I've always considered myself a capitalist. Capitalism has run amok. I mean, when a tiny group of people control 95 or 98% of the world's income, that's scary.
Yeah, but when gold don't back your dollar, it's data and information and the control that is your currency now. Everybody's done with dollars. You got how many millionaires in the US, and yet they can still control those millionaires because they can control the data.
That's right.
That's true. So that being said, what does anyone have any ideas? And I know this is a huge question to ask. I thought I'd throw it out there since we're on the subject. Does anybody have any ideas as far as, like, us on a ground level? We go to work, we come home, we pay the bills, we stress, we got all the stuff that we're dealing with on a daily basis. I'm curious if anybody has any ideas. Go ahead. Yeah, Matt.
I haven't been on Facebook in coming up on 10 years. I haven't been watching the news in over 20.
Yeah.
I don't watch any of that anymore. I like YouTube, and I make sure that my algorithm is mixed up. If something comes up that I'm like, hey, I should probably know more about that, I go look for it. When you look for it, you're going to find 20 different sites. You got to do the research. You got to find out what happened from both angles and then make your own call. But how many people today, how many kids are coming up that we taught how to do research, that we gave them the curiosity to find out for themselves? That's why you say, what's the main problem? Is we created generation after generation of laziness, people that are okay with half truths.
It's also a
So you
problem
think
too
it's
with just the fact of everyone's attention span has gotten, like, tinier and tinier and tinier. Like, nobody's gonna sit there and watch a video for 3 minutes that's talking about something serious unless they really care. It it's little blitz that people are, like, mad about, and, like, you should really look into the whole situation before you're just like you're like, I'll that's why I'll run to comments and stuff and figure out, like, what's going on in this whole situation. There's more to this than just this video.
Yeah, well, that's right along the line of you talking about trusting the news earlier, and you talking about back in 75 when people trusted the news and whatnot. Like honestly, I don't trust anything. Like I have to go research it. If I see it on Fox, I don't care. I'm gonna check it.
And that's how my husband functions, and, of course, being with him as long as I have, I've adopted similar trait, because he wants to know all angles to make a decision before he's just like he doesn't he doesn't let emotions make his decisions when it comes to all of this stuff.
And you
I'm
don't see him
obviously
throwing
I'm
bricks
a
at
little more
cops either.
emotional about things. What?
I said you don't see him throwing bricks at cops either.
No, but I'm a little more emotional. So, not some knee jerk or anything. It's just I have a lot of empathy, and so I can see a situation happening and just feel terrible, just terrible with whatever is happening, and try really hard to just walk in whoever's shoes with whatever's going on. It depends on what it is.
and I think that mindset that you
That
have, I think it's a good starting point, at least for a mindset anyway. I
it
know
is
everybody says
difficult though
that. We've
because it
probably heard it a
confuses
million
you.
times, but it's the hardest thing to do, especially when, at least for me, I'll speak for myself. It's the hardest thing to do is when I'm emotional, um, especially with family. Like that's one of the hardest things to try to choke back so that I can make a logical decision. Is try to fight that emotional response. You know, just being completely honest on that one.
I just try not to be too knee jerk. I want to know what the hell's going on. I don't want to just trust everything. I'm not doing it. That's not the way it is anymore.
And maybe, Dwayne, you might be able to speak to this. Just made me think of it when she was talking about it. She's like, my mom, she's more apt to go with the flow, right? And maybe you can speak to this, being in a different generation than myself and her. Is that like a feature of the older generation? I mean, anecdotally, I want to say personally, I've seen it, but or do you think that's just a personality trait for different individual people?
There was a time, even in my life, when we could kind of just let things roll. They weren't in our faces like they are now.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's almost impossible to detach that way or to distance that way. And then I think the best example, Laura, as I thought about when you said you're so compassionate and empathetic for people, is I find that most people are. Most people have a sympathetic heart. And one of the things we've seen, for instance, I do a lot of work in the homeless community, and we've seen person and group after group after group commit and initiate work in that community, and then they get so caught up in the personal stories and the personal appearances that people have, that of what the situations look like. They get so deeply into them that they lose focus, and they often, most of the time, fall apart. Instead of focusing on the bigger macro problem, they focus in, and as volunteers especially, it gets tricky because we're not equipped. We don't have the tools to do mental health and those kinds of things. So but if you have that empathy and sympathy, it's so hard to not react and jump in, because you love people, you care about people, and there are broken people, broken stories, broken hearts in your line of sight everywhere you turn now. So it's just changed. I don't know if it's unique to our generation, but I I see more people in my generation who are somehow able to just ignore pain around them, and that's unfortunate. Maybe they're cynical. I don't know. Maybe they're tired. I don't know, but I see
Distracted.
a lot of that.
What do you say, Matt?
They're distracted.
I think that's a large contributing factor. I would agree with that.
Are they? And some, it's so funny. We were just talking about this week. Some are distracted by whatever, but we're also so abundantly full of everything we need for the most part in this country, that it's easy to just not worry about anybody else's pain because I need a new car, I need this, and I need that. Whereas if we tripled our problems, especially from a socioeconomic standpoint, we'd still be ahead of a lot of the world. But I don't know. That's a great point. It is a great point.
Well, I like what you said earlier about the capitalism. Is it the capitalism that takes over our media centers and everything? And we know it is, but it's now consumerism has gotten to the point. It's not about making a dollar. It's about tying people up. It's like, how much debt can we give someone? How much distraction can we keep and enduring that distraction? Okay, let's aim them this way.
Your your attention is currency now.
An executive from Amazon told me a couple of years ago, they're not a retail company. They're a data company. And that's very true. 20 years ago, give or take, I was in Romania a couple times over a couple of years. One of the things I noticed that interested me was I would go into homes, especially in the more remote areas, and usually they would have a television, even if electricity was spotty, and the TV would be on. There was just a super abundance of those TV, what do you call those, infomercials, selling just junk. And I asked about it, and I was told by a guy who used to be the city manager, whatever that title would be, in Bucharest. He said at that point in history, 20 years ago, they were discovering how to access capital in the sense of debt and consumer debt and credit cards. Heretofore, they had not had much of that. And first thing that happened was the marketers, the capitalists, whatever you want to call it, got to it, and you could tell they were just tying people up with junk. And I would go into homes, and there would be as seen on TV stuff all around the homes. It was an interesting dynamic. And of course, we've been on that track for a century now, almost, as a country.
I'd say longer than that. You remember the saying, if you owed your soul to the company store?
Yeah, that's
How
right.
old is that?
That goes way back before the Depression. Yeah.
Same concept, just in microeconomics.
That was a good segment. We'll go ahead and move on to the next. All right. So the next thing I wanted to talk about to get everybody's point of view on this, when it comes to the news, mainstream or otherwise, podcasts, blogs, a thing that's happening a lot. And I think the first time I saw it was back during COVID, when CNN did an article about Joe Rogan and the horse dewormer. The picture on the article seemed to have some sort of filter to make Joe look a little bit sicker than he actually was. And that's what he claims. Well, something happened recently. The gentleman that was killed by ICE, sadly, I think his name was Mr. Peretti. His picture, I've seen some news coverage on it, looks to be edited by the news agency that announced the situation that happened that day. They looks like they changed it with AI to make him look different.
Can you show it to us?
Yeah. Let me pull it up for you. It was very interesting. Basically, what I'm getting at here is not necessarily that specific situation, but just as a whole, we were talking about trusting news sources. I wanted to get everyone's opinion on whether that's something that we should be worried about or not, and what your feelings are on it. It's a sad example, but it's an example of like what we've been sort of talking about. I just wanted to get you guys' general thoughts on it. Like, is this over the line? Is it dishonest? Do you think it's on purpose? Do you think it's by accident? Do you think it's innocent? Like, what do you guys think about this? Because it's not uncommon necessarily.
I just find it bizarre. Like, why? To make it more appealing? Make it more attractive? Like, I don't.
Do you think they're trying to appeal to their base, whoever their viewer? They know kind of what their viewer demographic is, and if he looks a little more patriotic in
Like
one and a little less patriotic in the other, it it might appeal to their base, which again goes back to entertainment instead of journalism.
It looks like they made him look less like kind of meek, because he was a smaller stature type guy. Like, he was a thin man.
Yeah.
He honestly, the way his body language and everything was just like my friend. I don't know. That's just I just think it's weird. I don't know why they would do that.
I hesitated to even bring this up, to be honest with you guys, because I know it's still so recent. The situation, a perfect example of we've been talking about, and I've even heard a take that someone said that it was ugly shaming because he wasn't very attractive, and they didn't want to put his picture up online because they didn't think it would garner as many clicks because he wasn't as attractive. So they did that. I heard somebody say that, and I'm like, if that's serious,
that's possible. I don't know. I'm just like, are they really that shallow? But yes, the media is very shallow.
Okay,
and I'm just like, you doctored this dude's
crazy
picture
to me.
Hey, you talk about what he looks like and how many clicks he's going to get. Is that not what Hollywood's been doing since it started?
It's just, no, you're right. It just blows my mind, I guess, because I'm sitting there, I'm like, this is a human being that is dead.
Yeah.
That was a nurse. Regardless of, as a human being, man, and regardless, it just it's crazy.
But you got to
it don't make no sense to me.
You got to take into consideration psyops on this one, though. It's like if you have a guy that looks better, he's nice and healthy, clean cut, it's going to look a whole lot better for what they're trying to say that ICE did against him. They're like, oh, this upstanding dude, not this guy who looks, like people care more if there's somebody attractive. They've proven it. People care more if it's somebody upstanding in society. They're going to say nurse over janitor.
I thought about that. Excuse me. I thought about that when it was overly emphasizing he was a nurse. What if he'd been a maid or a waitress or whatever? Would that have not been as valuable or as attention getting as a nurse being killed? I don't know, but I think there's something in there. It goes right back to how long can we keep you on that topic?
Hey, hi everybody.
Hey,
Tony,
you made it, brother.
real. How about that?
I'm in.
Good to see you, man.
I'm in.
Good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Yes. Good to be here.
Did you want to weigh in on that, Tony? Did you
well, what I got to say is that America has to be careful at this point because you don't know what's truth or not. So anybody can make any truth that they want. They can be a lie, but it looks real, So the thing is like Matthew said earlier, is doing your research. You got to do your research. So, upon doing your research, you will find out what's real and what's not to overreact, not to go off emotions and feelings, but to go off of facts. So, a lot of people go off emotions and feelings now, and facts is not in the equation at this point. So it gets a lot of people in trouble, So like I said, dealing with America these days, you have to know what the facts are before you make a move.
I think I'm seeing some common themes here from the beginning to now. Be open to listening to other people's opinions, because even if it's opinions we don't agree with, it may give us insight into their thought processes, which will allow us to be able to move softer, I guess. finding common ground. Even if we don't agree, we may understand their sentiment.
Yeah. I think everybody on this panel, here grew up in that era where, we grew up working, doing things like we supposed to. So we're going to look at things from a different angle versus the way the generation now goes off emotions and feelings. We'll be more calmer in a situation that could be intense, and as we got our feelings involved, guess what? We'll overreact, in any situation. So, yeah,
Well, I
I
mean,
think,
we're coming from generations and places where my first emotional question is the mortgage paid? Is my baby taken care of? Not, living in mom and daddy's basement and I got time to go scream at people on the weekend.
yeah.
Hey, I can end that thought for you though. It's like, she'll get mad at me because I don't do it in the moment. She'll get mad at me if like something happens
later.
and I just stop. And I'll give it 5-10 minutes and be like, okay, this is what we got to do. So it's like, I think, like you said, that difference in the emotional to rational reaction in the moment. And sometimes we have to teach people how to have that space.
I appreciate that, man.
But the big thing is, I know I have unconscious biases, so I always try to filter what I say through that. That people may not see things the way I do, and that used to not be okay. That's another whole story, but that's great. That's fine. That's what makes a mosaic. That's what makes a piece of music beautiful. Everybody's got a different piece of it. So, but I think it's a cool thing to do. I'm actually working on a book right now with a friend who is atheist. I still don't really care about the word Christian. It's been bastardized, but I'm a follower of Christ. And we're writing about topics that we should really disagree on according to culture, but we don't. And we're working on it. She's a little busier than I am, so it's taking some time. But this is kind of how I saw this today. I thought, well, good. This will be a way to test my wings a little bit.
Absolutely, and I really appreciate you joining us today. I know you're real busy, so thank you for joining us on this. Well, I really appreciate you guys' time tonight, and I know it was a little rocky tonight getting you in here, Tony, but I really appreciate you sticking through, man, and coming on and speaking your piece as well. I really like the way this went tonight. I know it was a little choppy, but I appreciate you guys pushing through with us and just being participants and offering up your insights. I would definitely like to do this again. I appreciate you guys. Thanks so much.
Yeah, Dean, it was a pleasure being here tonight too.
Definitely.
But me and you being friends for 20 years, man, it always been an honor to support you in whatever you got going on.
It's pleasure to have you in tonight, man.
Yeah.
We definitely got to do this again. I appreciate you guys. Hey.